I just got this book, Sandor Katz and the Tiny Wild, written by Jacqueline Briggs Martin and June Jolie, illustrated by Julie Wilson, and with an afterword by Sandor Katz himself, who's featured in the book. And this is from Readers to Eaters. And Readers to Eaters actually is the publishing company that came out of Lee and Low Books, which this is a recent discovery for me. And this actually is a book about fermentation. So the tiny wild are the invisible microbes that change cucumbers into pickles, cabbage into sauerkraut and kimchi. And actually, fermented foods, they're finding that they're so good for you because a lot of health has to do with your intestinal, your gut health, and fermented foods like yogurt, cheese, sourdough bread, all of that contributes to your gut health. And so, the book starts off here in the middle of Tennessee. And here is Sandor Katz, who is really, experimenting with fermentation of different kinds of foods. He grew up in New York City, and so, he was used to pickles and sauerkraut, and New York City, you have every kind of food. And anyway, he learned that he had HIV back when it was new, and no one knew what it was or how to treat it. And he decided to move from the city, join a community of queer people in Middle Tennessee, and he started experimenting, it looks like, with just like food as medicine, different kinds of herbs and plants, and a different way of eating. And looks like he had just a more sort of rustic experience living. And when he had an excess of cabbage, he remembered the sauerkraut, and started making sauerkraut. It wasn't always a success, but he persevered because, fermenting is like an art form and a science. And then he wrote a book called Wild Fermentation. And started to make kraut chi. Is that like kimchi? Sauerkraut? Some kind of hybrid? Actually, it sounds delicious. Yeah, and so fermentation. So he has this kraut cheese school, like sauerkraut and kimchi. And then he gives you the sort of, it's like a recipe, it's like a method. And so let's see. Yeah, it's basically, I think it's similar to making bread, which is also fermented. And so he has a note in the back. So hidden within the food is science, and this is about microbes and microorganisms and how they're really good for your gut and for your health. And even more importantly, they're delicious. So, wow, that looks super fun. Definitely pair this book with like hot dog and sauerkraut, or kimchi and rice, or pickles in your sandwich on sourdough bread, or yogurt. There's actually, if you think about it, there's a lot of food that we don't even realize. Cheese is fermented, that we eat. We don't even realize it's, fermented. But I hope you guys enjoy this book. Thank you to Readers to Eaters for sending it to me. And I hope you guys all enjoy this and fermented food.